Hello and welcome back to Bourbon Barrel Talk. I am your host, Scott Minton. Today we are sitting down with old Poe fanboy, Mr. Josh himself. How are we doing today, sir?
I'm doing well because I've got some beer in front of me.
That's right. Today we're going to shake it up, and instead of talking about bourbon by itself, we're going to be talking about bourbon finished beers. So you were lucky enough to grab one of the Old Forester birthday bourbon Goose Island stouts, and I was lucky enough to get a Larceny barrel finished Goose Island bourbon. It's called Caramella L. So those are the two we're going to be talking about. We're going to go over the flavor, what we think we like about them, if there's something that maybe is missing that we feel like, and just kind of go from there. So
You said I was lucky enough to have acquired it, but I paid a pretty penny at, I'll call it air quotes, retail at Old Forester's gift shop, but they made me buy a bottle of 1910. Or
1920,
1920, you're right.
Yeah.
A bottle of 1920, and I don't hate it because I enjoy 1920, but I had to buy a bottle of 1920s just so I could buy this $50 bottle of beer.
Yep.
I think that's about what it was.
Something, I want to say it was probably in that ballpark. I don't remember what the total price was. I just remember whenever they quoted it to me, I was like, I already have a 1920, and then I really don't need another Glencairn, because that's really what it boiled down to. Like, they made you buy the Glencairn with it.
Right, that's where I got my, eighth Glencairn from Old Forester. Was when I had to buy this, but I think it was a combo deal, somewhere around $130. You got the bottle of 1920, you got the 16.9 ounces of Bourbon County brand stout that was finished in a 2019 Old Forester birthday bourbon barrel, reining in at 14.6%.
Reining in. Why do you always sound like it's a boxer?
It is, man.
Because it will knock you on your ass if you drink too much
It's a
of it.
damn heavy hitter. All right? You drink one of these things all by your lonesome, and you'd probably go to sleep.
I'd probably go to sleep anyway. I'm fat and lazy, so sleep is pretty common for me.
Well, I've been up since, the typical for me is about 4 a.m., so, usually late in the evening when we're...
Do you get up at 4 on Saturday, too?
This morning was about 3:45.
Why the fudge would you do that?
I got up, I had a cup of coffee, sat on the couch with the dog, watched the news, perused the interwebs, Then I eventually even got on a treadmill because, it's the beginning of 2021, and I told myself I was going to do that.
So Weber and I, along with Toby, we decided we're going to walk/run 1,000 miles this year.
Good freaking luck.
So
I have tried to do that on multiple occasions, and I always derail.
So I'm in 2 days, and I have roughly 9 miles in 2 days. So I did 5 miles yesterday and 4 miles today.
Okay, so is this miles counted by your watch, or is this miles like you logged 4 miles? It's not your total steps walk through the day.
No, it's actual going on walks. Like I took my dog for a mile walk, and then I walked 3.1 by myself. I did a little 5K loop around our neighborhood.
So what's that a month? You're roughly 85 miles a month?
89.
Okay.
89 miles a month. I think it's 88.2. I just rounded up to 89. But it's roughly 3 miles a day. 2.78, I think, is the number you have to walk every single day. So,
well, frickin' thanks for including me, jackass.
Well, if you want to join in, man. Did you walk today?
I'm 4 miles in for the year.
So, see, there you go. You don't have to play that much catch-up.
As you can see, we're on day 2 of the year. So
yeah. We don't have to tell them it's January 2nd. We could lie and say it's like February 3rd or something. Of course, this episode will drop before then. So,
hey, I'm probably at some point going to say that, hey, I've told my wife I haven't bought any bourbon at all this year. And it's probably worthwhile to note that it is the second day of the year.
Yes. It's like my wife duly noted that she has not bought anything off of Amazon yet this year.
Mine did the same, but it was yesterday. I doubt she could say that today.
Really? A matter of fact, I returned something on Amazon. I bought my wife. She has a special type of deodorant that she loves.
You don't need to talk about that stuff on air.
That's okay. She loves it, and then they stopped making it. So we found a place on Amazon that we thought was what we were buying, and we just got the regular brand of what she buys, like the super strength stuff of. So I don't know.
I told you I stopped at Target for it's not curbside pickup, but drive-up pickup there, and that's what I was doing at Target, was getting some Degree deodorant, drive-up pickup.
There you go. degree, huh?
My wife said it was too expensive on Amazon, so she got on Target, and I had to drive through and fight traffic to get
You don't
there.
use right guard because when your right guard takes a left.
I'm always right, bro.
Well, all right, then let's get started here. I'm going to start with this ale because, I'm actually kind of curious about it after getting a couple of sniffs and just a tiny sip.
So I did not know that Goose Island did an ale as a part of their Bourbon County product line that they put out with all of their bourbon at the end of the year. So I didn't actually look this year at what all was put out because there was only really one that interested me to go and spend stupid money for.
Right.
Which was the birthday bourbon, because that was really fanboy cliche for me to go buy it.
It seemed like a must that you should go get that.
And I did.
You're not a big weeder, so you didn't go after the Weller 12 or any of those.
And I did not go get in line on Black Friday, which is when all these were put out. For the listeners that may not know, at least in the Louisville market, they do a Black Friday. I like to call it a dark beer release, but a Black Friday black beer release.
Yep.
For the most of the stouts. And the Keg used to do a Black Friday, and I think they did it this year, but they said they weren't going to have anything worth lining up for, so I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
I've gone out and I've gotten in line in previous years for the Goose Island Bourbon County Stout release. I've stood in line at Total Wine. I've not stood in line at Liquor Barn, but I know I've seen it when going in there for something else.
So I will say, I really do prefer the Goose Islands over the KBSs, and I know a lot of people love the KBSs. But this ale to me, I really like it. I mean, the more I dive into it, the more I'm enjoying it. It does need to be cold, though. I will say, I'm glad we decided to drink this one first, because I will say a stout, I'm okay at room temperature. Usually when I get my Guinness, I'll let it sit for 5-10 minutes before I ever, sip on it anyway.
Guinness is just not, it's like weak sauce. It's like you complaining at me because I'm drinking an 86 proof whiskey and it's just not strong enough. Guinness is just like water at this point.
I don't disagree. I'm just saying that, that was kind of my gateway drug into dark beers. It's kind of like when you first time you tried OBFO, it was, 90 proof, 1910 was kind of the thing that got you, oh man, I love OBFO, that type of thing, So for me, when I started drinking dark beer, when I moved away from Miller Lite, Bud Light, Miller Genuine Draft, all the shit that we drank,
Milwaukee's Best Light.
I never really liked the Beast, but I know there's a lot of folks out there that do. I was, like I said, I'm probably a MGD, fan. I was a Miller Genuine Draft was probably what I mainly drank. In a pinch, I would do some Coors, but straight Coors, not Coors Light.
Coors. Okay, I was confused at what you were saying there for a minute.
What?
I thought you were saying Cougars.
Oh, I like Cougars too. My wife is 9 months older than me.
And you're a lucky guy.
Absolutely, I definitely married up.
So this what is it? Caramella is what
it's the Caramella. It's finished in a Larceny barrel. It comes in at, like you said, 14.6 on the ABV side.
So when we first poured it and you took a drink, you said you could really get that bourbon flavor to it. I'm getting a tremendous amount of caramel flavor in it. It's a very sweet. I'm probably going to feel overwhelmed with sugar when I go back to drinking the stout, because I had drank a fair amount of the stout before this one, but a very sweet flavor bomb to
Yeah,
this
no,
thing.
absolutely. Matter of fact, I mean, it says it's a big, and I'll say it like you said, a caramel bomb. But I also get a lot of villain.
You weren't going to call it a caramel bomb, were you?
That's what I'll say. I say caramel. I mean, you can make fun of me all you want. We've been down this road, I don't know, 5-6 times on the show already. So
There are multiple A's in there.
yeah, I know. It's not like the city of Indianapolis, right? Caramel.
That's right. I had to think about where you were going there with that, but yes. Good beer. Definitely worth buying. This would be one, if you had a shot at getting this and you had somebody that was not a big beer drinker, that you could pour them, a 4-ounce shot of this and let them sip on that for a few minutes, and they would probably really like it.
Yeah, I don't disagree. The bourbon may be a little overwhelming. It does have just enough of that.
God, I'm not getting any of that.
You're not getting any bourbon on this at all?
Not at all.
Really?
And I don't know if I drank too much of the stout
Maybe that's it.
I'm not getting any bourbon.
I literally only took a couple of sips of the stout, but I get a lot of bourbon on this thing. It's real heavy on the backside, like it's on the finish. It's it almost gives you the old school Kentucky hug. Gives you a little bit of that warm, like fuzzy feeling in the back part of your throat. And
God, I got none of that, Scott. It's a flavor bomb, but I'm not picking up bourbon. I'm picking up caramel apples.
Yep.
In this thing, and not like, the caramel we claim you get when you're butterscotch you claim you're getting when you're drinking whiskey or bourbon.
No,
this is just downright caramel.
No, it's sweet. It's definitely sweet, but I definitely get the bourbon flavor, and maybe it's just I'm getting the bourbon flavor from the warmth. Like I said, I'm getting a little bit of that nice warm Kentucky hug in the center part of my chest, and it's a damn fine pour.
I'm gonna have that nice face red glow after drinking this high proof beer.
Absolutely. After we finish both these beers, it's gonna be a little bit of that glow. The worst part is too, it'll make you a little full.
It's a good beer though, very enjoyable. I would definitely buy it, but I'm sure you can't find it.
So there were 6 still on the shelf at Cox's when I was there when I picked these up. So I was just over there just a few days ago. It was before New Year's, so there may not be any left, but there were 6 at the time when I was there.
So you just recently picked it up.
I did. Yep.
I picked up the birthday Bourbon County, and I picked up just a standard Goose Island Bourbon County release.
Gotcha.
I haven't opened the other, but you made reference to a KBS not too long ago, or just a few minutes ago. I had cracked open a KBS that was probably 2 years old, but was sitting in my beer fridge down in my bourbon room. And I really enjoyed that KBS. And I don't know if it was just, it had been a month since I'd had a beer, or if it was at the end of a really long day, or I was just really doggone thirsty. But I really enjoyed the KBS when I had it.
Or all the above.
Could have been all of the above. And I bought it probably 2 years ago. Somebody was like, hey, you got to try this. And it could have even been that I bought it at a Black Friday release maybe 2 years ago. So,
I don't think many beers make it in my house that long.
You know what, man? I've really been, especially over the last year, on a very strong bourbon kick. And very few beers have come into the house over the last year. We did pick up some random, so I'm a Miller Lite drinker if I'm drinking light beer, but we picked up a 12-pack of the Bud Light Orange.
Oh, man.
And it was like a creamsicle, man. That thing was, for a light beer, it was phenomenal. So I don't know. We haven't had a whole lot of beer come in, but we've had a lot of bourbon come into the house, and they were all $40 bottles, obviously, that I tell my wife. But lots of bourbon coming into the house, not a lot of beer other than probably this one.
I feel like the dollar amount changes quite a bit with you and your wife.
Sometimes it's $25.
Sometimes it's 25, sometimes it's 30, sometimes it's 40.
Yeah, that would be like the high end.
So these beers were $20 a piece. At least mine was. Yours was more expensive. This was $19.99.
God, we just drank $70 worth of beer, Scott.
Who cares?
Not me, because it's gone.
But I think it's worth it. I mean, I got to be honest with you. Being a unique pour, I do like a good ale. This is more like an English ale, if I can describe that for people. It's already got some of those sweet flavors that your English ales will have. It's not an IPA or anything that's hoppy. It's strictly just a straight darker English ale. It's got a little bit of a, almost like I would say like an ESB, which is an English special bitters.
Is it English special bitters? I always thought it was extra special bitters.
They have an extra special, but English makes their own very special kind that they do. Have you ever heard of Old Speckled Hen?
Of course.
So that's what their ESB is that English style. So
when I was in grad school 17 years ago, I had to do some math there. Now that we're in 21, I got odd numbers. So I was in grad school, and Flanagan's. You're familiar with Flanagan's?
Flanagan's Pub
over on Baxter in Louisville. Well, that had become my place to go, and they had a century club of beers, 100 different beers You drank all different 100 of them, and you got your name on the mug, and you got a mug. So that was really my introduction to beer, other than the typical Milwaukee's Best Light or the typical Miller Lite, and it really opened you up to trying different things. And you spend a lot of money doing it, 100 different beers at a bar, but they had really good stuff, and that's where I first had Old Speckled Hen. I think I had just an enormous variety of dark stout beers and ESBs, and you name it, they had it. But that was the way that I got introduced to different beers.
So I started my beer drinking back at the New Albanian, back when it was just called Sports Time Pizza and Richo's Pub.
Richo's.
And that's before they actually started brewing their own beer. But I started off with things like Chimay in the Bottle, Adventinius, Eisenbach, what's the one with the little monks on it? St. Bernardus. So,
dude, the ABT 12.
Yeah, so the ABT 12. There's also a St. Bernardus ABT. There's a St. Bernardus. I can't remember the other one, but so that's what I grew into loving as far as beer goes. And then
Belgium beers.
Yeah, wow, I love the Trappist monks, man. They make some good shit, right? Chimay, the St. Bernardus, all those things. Adventinius was like an Eisenbach from Germany, but it was super, super refreshing, nice, had enough hop to it to where, you get a good flavor. So that's where that kind of started. And then I joined the lagers, I guess, the next summer, when I was actually old enough to drink legally.
Was that where you cut trees down?
No, the lagers, Lagers, which would mean that they make beer.
Okay.
The Louisville All Grain Extract Research Society.
Oh my God, you're a nerd.
So I learned how to make beer with all grain, learned how to keg it, learned how to do all the fun things that went with all that. And I did that for a good, I don't know, I'm going to say 10 years pretty constantly or consistently, where we were making that. We were making mead. We were making, stouts, porters, all those type of things that I like. Never been an IPA guy, so never was nothing. It was nothing that I really had to, make or do, but I would make one every blue moon to just split up with my buddies, and I would take it to a party and get rid of it as fast as I could.
I hear you. So we digress, and we got way, way, way off.
Well, we're talking beer.
Bourbon County
it's okay
stout
to talk
topics.
Bourbon County. So, but I made a lot of stouts, and one of my favorite stouts was an oatmeal stout.
Ooh.
But
Who makes the famous oatmeal stout? There's one, and I can't recall what it is. And I keep wanting to say John L. Smith, but that's football and U of L. And
oatmeal stout.
there's a Smiths or Smithix or
Smittix.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Smittix is more like a. Smittix it's like an English like style black ale. I mean, it's not.
Okay.
It's not even a stout. So.
Oh, good.
But you can do a blacksmith, which is a half Guinness, half Smittix, and then
Black and tan.
no, it's called what I said, a blacksmith.
I'm asking you, what is a black and tan?
A black and tan is what half Guinness, half Harps, and then the other one is a half and half, which is half Guinness, half Bass.
Okay. I've had all of those, but I would never have been able to keep them all separate or apart to remember which was which.
I may have the black and tan and the.
Those are just things that were really
and
cool
half.
when you were out at a bar to say, "Hey, I'll have a black and tan."
Right. Yep. And so I will say that shame on me for forgetting, but I possibly could have those split backwards.
I would tell you it's been at least 10 years since I've had any of those mixed beer drinks.
I used to get an Irish car bomb every time I went to.
Oh my God! Which is Bailey's and Guinness?
No, I think it's like isn't it Jameson and Guinness, or
Maybe, I don't remember.
it's some kind of Irish whiskey and poured into a beer, and then you drop it in.
Again, it's been at least
You
10
literally
years,
chug it.
At least 10 years since I was
Supposedly,
stupid
it tastes
enough to
like
do
Dr. Pepper, which it didn't.
Now you're talking about like flaming Dr. Peppers or something, which was Dr. Pepper and SoCo, and I don't know.
Who remembers?
Who remembers? Who remembers?
Those are my younger days. I try not to remember too much about that.
All right, so this birthday bourbon, Goose Island Bourbon County Stout, really good. It's kind of like syrup to an extent. I mean, it's a very thick beer, very potent beer. It's a good one. I haven't. So I wish I would have brought one of the just regular Goose Islands to try it side by side to really see the difference in what the bourbon barrel finish is. But
Oh, it adds a lot.
does it?
It absolutely adds a lot. Yeah, I mean, I don't have any Goose Island upstairs.
I just didn't think I could drink that many beers tonight.
No, I don't think it's a good idea, especially if we're gonna, drink anything else. Which I know whenever we get together, typically bourbon gets consumed
What?
regardless.
Anyways, it's a good beer. I would tell you it's not worth $50. The $20 Caramella that you have, totally worth $20. The birthday bourbon Goose Island, not worth 50. And I did see them selling on the secondary between 80 and 100, and that's just stupid.
Well, sometimes you just want to try something, right?
Right, and that's why I paid $50 for it, because I
Right.
just wanted to try it, but not worth it.
Not worth paying 80 for or 50, huh?
No, and I realized I paid a higher price dollar for the 1920 that I bought when I had to buy it, and for the Glencairn and whatever. But anyways, we tried it. It was good. I wouldn't pay that much money for it
Now,
again.
see, after drinking the Caramella, now going to this is still pretty sweet. I mean, for a stout, and it's supposed to be 60 IBUs. I think you said when you read the mash bill or the
Yeah.
actual notes on it. Still pretty sweet.
It's very syrupy to me, and I don't know if that's a good way to describe it, but it's a very thick, viscousy,
Toby's word, huh?
Toby's word, very thick, viscousy beer.
It does. It's very heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely say that it's heavy. It's got great legs though. I mean, it sticks to your ribs, man. When you drink this, it coats the entire portion of your mouth, goes all the way down, gives you that warm Kentucky hug. It's a good solid pour. I just don't know that it's $80.
Again, you and that Kentucky hug here. I'm not getting it, but I must have just drank too much whiskey today.
Have you been drinking already today?
Well, it is in the afternoon, and you can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning.
I know, but damn, it's Saturday and
It's a weekend.
It's not even that late, but I mean, I'm proud of you if you have been drinking. Don't get me wrong.
I hear
I
you.
should have been drinking after watching IU played as bad as they did today, but I was not. I try not to drink too much during the day if I know I'm going to drink a bunch at night.
I hear you, Chief. Yesterday, I think it was yesterday. Maybe it was New Year's. I poured a pot of coffee and had some bourbon cream with it.
Oh man, is that not good?
It was really good. And then I had some of these little imitation creamers that I went to after that the next day, and I was like, well, that crap's not worth drinking.
It's really not. I tell you, when I started drinking the Bailey's Irish Cream in my coffee, it just changed the level of the game quite a bit. Matter of fact, I've already pounded off that entire bag of Quill's coffee. Now, I will say it was a little weak.
Quills, is this?
So Quill's did a Starlight
I
finished rye barrel. It was called I don't remember, the Siren or something like that. I think it was the KBC one. But anyway, I drank pretty much all that coffee, but over the course of the last 3 weeks since I got that bag. But
You drank a whole bag of coffee in 3 weeks?
Yes, and that was with mixing with Starbucks Cafe Verona. So we like really, really dark, robust coffee.
Does Becky drink it too?
Yes.
Okay.
But she was not a fan of the rye. She's like, "Ooh, that tastes like bourbon," and I was like, "Yeah, I like it." But I drank it straight a little bit with just a touch of sugar to give it some sweetness, and then I was like, you know what, that's not bad that way. But I wanted to see what it was like, so then I put a little bit of the Buffalo Trace bourbon cream in there. It's like, damn, that's pretty good.
So I bought a bottle of the bourbon cream somewhere around Thanksgiving. You and Matt and Toby had done an episode sometime, I want to say back in November, that was about bourbon cream. And I had never tried it because I have a mild lactose intolerance, but I did. I bought a bottle. I tried it. I tried it with some Freddy's. I loved it. I tried it just neat, just bourbon cream, and it was awesome. And then I tried it in coffee. All are great.
Yes, so the Buffalo Trace is definitely good all three ways. I will say, though, the Barton, which I can get you some if you want it. I've got some here.
I'm okay.
It's super good on its own, and it's pretty good in root beer. I do not recommend it with coffee.
The root beer, like a root beer float with the bourbon cream, I mean, that was amazing. I'm just crazy good. So,
Did you see where Freddie released his own ginger ale?
no, I have not seen that. I don't keep up with Buffalo Trace stuff quite that much.
It was a Facebook commercial is what I saw. So I saw it, and I was like, hey, look at that. Freddie's going to make him some ginger ale. So I'm excited to try it to see if it's got enough bite for me. Because you know me, I like fancy ginger ale.
I hear you.
So I don't know.
I'm looking at this bottle, and I keep seeing bourbon, the Bourbon County Old Forester bottle. And you keep seeing all these people that are repurposing bourbon bottles. And I'm wondering if this would be a really cool glass if you went and cut the top off the bottle and just had kind of a drinking glass out of it.
It would make a pretty cool glass. The only thing that would suck is you would lose the goose at the top because of where it's at. It's so far up, you wouldn't be able to use that. And
yeah,
but it would make a nice little cool, little 10-ounce glass or 12-ounce glass. But yeah, absolutely, because it's a good looking bottle. I mean, you got all the raised lettering and everything else that goes with it.
Well, cool. Both beers were great. I actually like the Caramella better, but the Birthday Bourbon Stout is still very good.
Good deal. So, just to kind of piggyback onto this, so we said, Black Friday, bourbon season. What were some of your best finds this year?
Oh, best finds. Well, we hadn't been doing any camping out at all this year.
No.
At least I hadn't. You may have. I hadn't.
Not really.
But
I think the only one we really kind of did together was the day that they released the Eau de Faux Birthday Bourbon.
Dude, so that's what I was going to say. I was able to acquire a 2019 and 2020 Old Forester Birthday Bourbon. And we really, standing there in line, we weren't certain what we were going to be able to get until maybe a half hour, 45 minutes until the door opened. But we got there. I think you got there somewhere around 5:30.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I showed up a little bit after 6, and then the doors opened at 11 o'clock. So a good 5.5 hours worth of sitting out in quasi-cold. At least the morning started out cold. And we both acquired 2019 and 2020 bottles of Birthday Bourbon, and they were selling it as a combo at the gift shop there at Old Forester. So I would say that was the highlight. Fortunately, I've been able to acquire all 3 of the Old Forester 150th anniversary batch 1s, 2, and 3.
I know.
Some because of you.
That's okay.
And others because of a very generous liquor store that I put my name on the list and called me just a week in the last week. And I will tell you that made my day to have a liquor store call me when I'd put my name on a list like 2 months earlier. And they call me and say, "Hey, is this Josh?" And I'm like, "Yeah, well, we have a 150th anniversary batch 3 for you." I'm like, "Hell yes, I'm on my way."
Right.
Save it. So I would tell you the fanboy in me has been pretty excited to get the 150th anniversaries and the birthday bourbons. What else did I get? I just recently walked into another liquor store, 2 days ago, I don't know,
Right.
New Year's Eve maybe? I went in New Year's Eve and I was just going to see, because this liquor store traditionally does a Christmas week release of bourbons. They didn't have much of anything. I did pick up the Restoration Rye.
Okay, yeah.
With a little 2020 sticker on it, or metallic thing on it, because
Fuck 2020.
everybody's got to remember 2020. But I was going up to the counter to buy it, and I guess right when I was walking away from the counter, this liquor store had set a bottle aside for a regular customer, and it was the Woodford Masters collection.
Very fine rare bourbons.
Very fine rare collection number, 16?
16, yeah.
16, I think it was, in their new bottle. And somebody just said they didn't want it. They were getting ready to put it on their shelf behind the counter, and I said, "Hey, you don't even need to make space for it. I'll buy it." So, excited to get something different that I had seen on all the Bourbon Club pages flying off the shelves at Liquor Barn and Total Wine.
So for me, the highlights were the birthday bourbons. I was able to procure all of the 150s, but I did trade one of them to you because I knew that it was more important for you to have the three the number one than it was for I.
Thank you.
So I'm hoping that I can find a one in the near future. But
if not, you can open the one at my house.
My highlight, though, was I did get a phone call, and my local lady at the liquor store called me and said, "Scott, I've got either a Pappy 10-year or a GTS. What would you like?" And GTS all day long for me.
You're such a tater. It's not a Pappy 10-year. Come on, man.
Old Rip Van Winkle.
We don't need all the bourbon taters smacking you around calling ORVW a Pappy.
I know, but it still is Pappy. People can say what they want to say.
What'd you get?
They can be a punk if they want. I'm always going for GTS. I mean, like, the only way I'm probably not going to go for GTS is if something that was astronomically valuable, way more valuable, that I could trade for a GTS and something else. But the GTS is always going to be there because it's one of my it is my favorite pour. I mean, I don't know why I even say it's one of my favorite pours. It is my favorite pour. I've not had anything that to me that is better than GTS other than 2019 being a slight disappointment.
I really want to get a bottle of the Thomas H. Handy, the THH.
Yep.
I don't know why. Something about it just sounds really intriguing for me to try something that old.
So stay away from 2019. And the only reason I say that is because 2019 should not even have been called Thomas H. Handy. I felt that way, and then I talked to 4 or 5 other people that are massive Handy fans, and they were all in the same opinion. That was not a typical Handy. So anything other than 2019, you should be very excited about getting.
I keep staring at your bourbon collection over there, and I see this bottle poking up in the middle that's a 1977 Old Forester Dusty that I think you recently acquired.
I did. I'm super excited about that one. That is my birth year. I will crack that in May when it's my birthday. Unless, something super crazy happens between now and then that forces me to open it. But that is the cue. I was going to wait until I turned 45, but I don't think I can wait a full year and 4 or 5 months to open it. So,
pretty cool bottle to have recently acquired.
It was, and oddly enough, it was a German store pick, so it was an export that got sent back over to the United States where it belongs.
Isn't that crazy how some of these bottles will travel thousands of miles away, and then they end right back up, maybe 50 to 60 miles away from where they originated?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, hell, Matt got the 11-year Heaven Hill, the one that was finished in Scotland. I think it's been 6 years in the U.S. and 5 years in Scotland aging.
No, that's pretty cool.
So, but it's 130-something proof, so I don't know if that's going to be something you're going to be real excited about.
Come on, man. Y'all have slowly ramped me up throughout the year.
So you ready?
COVID has made me ready for anything.
So, well, good deal. So, if you're going to go out, you're going to look for some Goose Island stuff. And Josh is saying take a pass on the Old Forester birthday bourbon at $50 because it's just not really worth it. We are both saying you should definitely buy for $20 the Caramella if you see it.
Caramella.
It's finished in a Larceny barrel. It is a ale, but
it's good.
$20, $19.99. It's the 2020. It's got a green little label at the top of the neck.
$20, and you don't need to drink any more that night.
You probably might want to have something to finish off the night, but it's pretty stout. Being where it's at. At that 14.6, you're drinking quite a bit of it. It's what'd you say, 16.9 ounces? What you said it was, pint and 9 ounces.
I think so.
So those are the way to score it out and go from there. So this is, if you want to find us, you can find us on bourbonbarreltalk@gmail.com. That's a good way to email us. Our website is Bourbon Barrel Talk, www.bourbonbarreltalk.com. You got us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Tweet.
And that's the best way to get in touch with us whenever you want to talk about bourbon with your favorite bourbon podcast. Also, don't forget to hit the share button and the subscribe button. We love it when people are sharing our content, and we love it when our listeners are subscribing. That way they're getting that download as soon as it comes out. So this is Scott, Ofo Fanboy Josh, signing out.
Peace.